G'day everyone, welcome to another edition of the Local Football Podcast where we find out what's going on in the world of local footy around Australia. It's all thanks to the team at Premier Data. And trust me, from a coach's perspective, everyone loves Premier Data, trying to find out what's going on and why and how we fix it or how we exploit it next time around. And that's what coaches do every single week. And one of the storylines we've been following on the podcast is that of the Diamond Creek Football Club. They are the giant killers of the Northern Football Netball League in season 2026. They've come off defeating the invincible Heidelberg Tigers 2 weeks ago. And last week, they defeated the second team in the competition, Montmorency, on their deck, on the away deck. And it's all thanks to the genius of the coach, Andrew Tranquilli, who joins us on the podcast today. Andrew, welcome. Thanks for coming, mate.
Daniel, thank you very much for having us and supporting local footy.
We love local footy around here, and I know you do too. You've been doing this for a little while, but gee, you're in a bit of a patch there at Diamond Creek. What do you put it down to, mate?
Yeah, look, it's it's been a few years coming. The history is that we made 3 grand finals in a row. We lost the first 2, and obviously the third one against McLeod last year was a fairy tale ending with the way we won it. But I guess what it did is it allowed to get a lot of games into our young juniors to understand what senior football is all about. And yes, there's a bit of a jump up from Division 3 to Division 2 and 2 to 1, but we felt that what we're practicing, what we're putting in place and just letting the kids have some fun and confidence with senior football, we felt confident we'd be in a good shape for this year. And then the old, why not us? So one thing at a time, and yeah, it's working okay.
So that's a big part of the challenge from your perspective, from a coaching perspective, is the jump in quality, because Divi 2 is Divi 2 for a reason, and Divi 1 is obviously the best for a reason as well. It's a much better level of footy every single week, and there's no easy kills or the like in that level, particularly when you're jumping up. Have you changed anything or added much to the squad to be able to compete week to week like you have been?
Look, our focus in the pre-season was twofold. One, definitely to ensure retention with our own playing list and all the kids that are coming through. We tried to recruit, don't get me wrong, but we weren't as successful in that recruiting side. So once we realised, okay, well, we know what we got, our training changed to basically same model, but at a higher intensity and more ruthless on execution and turnover, so to speak. So we're not a perfect side. No one's a perfect side, but it's all about, well, what we thought in the summer was, well, if you turn it over, well, what's the next 2-3 seconds look like? And then we worked on those kind of little principles. Yeah.
So for that sort of stuff, you mentioned your kids a couple of times there in the team. For that sort of stuff, you've got to have some leaders driving the standards. Was it easy to get the buy-in from them to help you with that?
Yeah, 100%. It was, they've been thirsty to get into Division 1 for a long time, the likes of Nathan Searle and Jacob Booth, who have Diamond Creek kids through and through, and their dream has always been to get up to Division 1. So once the reality came true, or the dream and became a reality, I didn't even have to question the leadership. They just took it on board, and to the point where you had players like Ewan McPherson who, could easily continue to play at VFL level, but opted to concentrate on local footy and wanted to be a leader straight up, recognised as a leader. So it's all grown within, which is really pleasing. So we're just having a good ride at the minute.
So has it been like a 3, 4, 5 year plan you put in place at the start? You've been there for 7 seasons, I think, now at Creek.
Yeah,
has it been a plan you put in place, or was it just sort of a natural evolution of the group?
Yeah, no, it was a plan. Like when I had the interview, I do recall saying that, it will take 3 to 5 years for the boys to understand what I want to teach them, because it's a little bit different to how we the usual sides play. To sort of break down what they knew to re-educate them. And the first year was the COVID year, so we had all but one practice game. So we're undefeated that year, which was a good year. And then the second year was a half a year, where we were sitting third, I think from memory, if not fourth at the halfway mark so we were going okay. And then we started to play. So we had Eltham in that grand final, then South Morang. There was a prelim first, and then, so prelim, grand final. So really started to see the kids, and when I say kids, we're talking about players that at that age, at that time, they were 22 years old. Like your Matt Lewis's, Joel Randall, Nick Barrow. So these guys now are 26 and 27. So they've come through, and we called them the next generation, part of our leadership group back then, where we really wanted them to understand what it's going to take to be a senior footballer. And and they just wanted it. They were thirsty for it, and they've just really embraced what it was all about. And every now and again, I sort of pop the vein out where I crack the irrits, and they take it on board, and we're all in it together.
Yes. Well, you're entitled to do that. Got a couple of bullets in the chamber every year as a coach. You just got to fire
they say
them.
3 to 4, isn't it?
How many have you shot this year so far?
I think I've done 2. Maybe I've done 2. Yeah.
Still a couple left. So what were your expectations leading into this year after the dramatic premiership last year, as you touched on before? What were your expectations?
No, well, people thought I was crazy and a bit of a lunatic, but at our presentation night last night, I basically told our supporters group and players, I said, don't book holidays in September. So it's, I was pretty confident with the system that we've got would hold up. To what degree, only time will tell. But honestly, I spoke to a lot of people that I confide in, and as you said, I've been around for a little bit, and I used to coach at Doncaster and in the Eastern League, and I think I might have left the Eastern League just as you joined Baldwin. And I just said to the guys, I've just got deja vu of a year where we came from Division 2 up to Division 1. No one could beat Vermont. Vermont was the side to beat. And, with the kids, with the system, out at Vermont, we beat them by 8 goals. Just with a, get in the grill type of mentality and an honest team effort. That I said, we didn't have any superstars back. Oh, don't get me wrong. Chris Anarkis was an absolute gun as a local kid. But, we didn't really have all these ex-VFL, AFL players playing for us. It was just 80% of our homegrown, learning what we wanted to do together. And I really felt at the start of this year that, look, we may not be good enough, but we're definitely not going to embarrass ourselves. And, once you're that close, all it takes is just those little 1%ers that fall your way. And tell you what, this group that we've got at Diamond Creek, if they could measure Farlap's heart, tell you what, some of these players with their heart, it's just phenomenal.
Oh, coach's dream when you've got players with that level of effort and care and passion for what they're doing. That's awesome to hear. And you've done more than embarrass yourself, mate. You've put yourself up in lights with what you've done the last couple of weeks. And beating Heidelberg, no one's been able to do it for years. And you were able to do it. How did you do it? What's the secret sauce to beating Heidelberg?
What's the secret? Look, mate, they're an awesome team. They're an awesome team. And as I said before, in our pre-season, we focus on takeaways. And one of the takeaways that we focused on for Heidelberg was takeaway, turnover, transition. They're a side that if you turn it over, that if you sort of stargaze and watch footy, it's down from one end to the other before you know it, and it's a goal. So we just focused on stay in the moment in our training that week, stay in the moment. We're not going to be perfect. We're going to turn it over. But if we do turn it over, how do we then reset to try and nullify their transition? And, that was one of the things that we honed in on. Wasn't the only thing. We just made sure that we really, if anything, we didn't change our style. We didn't fall into, and I'm not saying other sides do, but, everyone talks, you got to do this, you got to do that. They're able to do this, do that. And we just, as a coaching panel, we just said, our system has worked for a reason. Let's give it a go. Let's just give it a go and see where it falls out. So, whether they had an off day or whether we had a really good day, you can only play who's in front of you at the time, and we'll take the 4 points. Happy to do what others couldn't.
Oh, my word. Well, you've made a big name for yourself, a big splash across the local footy scene with the big win over Heidelberg. Are you allowed to celebrate those moments with the boys? Do you encourage them to really launch into good times after that? Because it's a tough caper, as you well know, local footy.
Yeah, no. We've got a mantra: win, lose or draw. Especially when it's an away game, we're always in the opposition club rooms. I'm really passionate about local footy, and I understand all that. We got plumbers, accountants, students, and they give it their all for 2 hours playing footy. And if it's a positive and a celebratory moment, go and celebrate. Do what you got to do. Just be ready for Tuesday, I tell them.
Well, they must have been ready because back-to-back you had 1 and 2 on the ladder for this little stretch of the fixture, Heidelberg and then Montmorency away, which is never easy. So they must have come ready to work on Tuesday to get the job done in a narrow one on the weekend against Monty. Yeah,
they did. It was a little bit sluggish. On Tuesday. But as I said, it was that was one of the Rockets. I said, come on, boys, I gave you a bit of time to give me some back. But No, it was a focus. And look, and we had 4 big outs going into Monty. I mean, Ewan fractured his finger against Heidelberg, Darcy back to North Melbourne. And then we've got a couple of young guns that are lucky enough and good enough to make Carlton's VFL list. So they got called up to play Carlton for represent Carlton on the weekend. So we had to, everyone started to think, oh, geez, what are we going to do? But it's like, that's okay. One out, one in, that kind of mentality. And so, as I said, the heart was really big on the weekend because we are early into the third quarter. We were down to one on the bench. So we really just had to grind it out. But having said that, they jumped us early. We came back, took control in the third, and then we just arm wrestled for the last quarter. So, yeah, a little bit of a tear after the game where I told the boys, I've got nothing to say to you. You shit me to tears, so I'm going.
Fantastic. We got to leave it all out there as the coach as well, mate. The boys know that.
You do.
And they clearly respect you and respond to you on the back of that. So now you're in second. What happens now at Creek? Do we change anything? Are we keeping the same? What's the vibe like?
Oh no, it's just it's a bit of a Damien Hardwick thing that I took on a few years ago, and we've got a saying, rounds 8 to 14 is when the boys hide and the men come to play. So tick as many boxes in that round 8 to 14. So we've ticked 3 at the minute. Eltham was round 8, then Heidelberg, and now Monty. So we've ticked the first 3. We understand we've got a bye coming up in a couple of weeks, so it's that'll be a good reset opportunity then. So it's just head down, bum up, doing what we're doing at the minute. We had a good, nice pool recovery session last night because the bodies were a bit banged up from the weekend. We don't try and over maximise that. At the end of the day, players have partners, have lives. They're their own. It's not like their livelihood playing footy. So I'm very mindful of how much time I ask of them as well. So we try and keep it as simple as possible. So, up to the bye. That's our direct focus for the minute. I mean, Hurstbridge first up this week. As a collective looking forward, we've got the next 2 games before the bye. Give the guys probably a good week off at the bye where they can really go and reset, and then come home with 5 or 6 games, and then see whether we are, finals or not. But still, that's where we're aiming for. Where we finish in the ladder, only time will tell.
So just listening to you talk, mate, it's clear that you love what you do. You've been doing it 7 years at Creek. You were 7 years at Doncaster as well. So it's almost 15 years you've been doing this at local footy level. Not quite sure what you did before that, but you seem to love it. What's in it for you? Why do you keep doing this?
Yeah, good question, that. What is it? I love to see kids develop, and I love to see kids maximise their talent, whether it's Division 1, 2 or 3. I love to see them come off that they've learnt a new skill set, but I also, more importantly, want to see our kids become young men that represent our community in a way that makes us all proud. So I'm a bit of an old-fashioned fossil that way. It's I just love to see the young lads really develop into something that they can aspire to be at their highest level, whether that's, as I said, playing Division 3 or whether they're good enough to go and represent AFL.
Is there one kid through your journey, Andy, that you've looked upon most fondly that's gone from sort of baseline to stardom at local footy level? It's grown really quickly under your eyes? Yeah.
Look, I wouldn't say that he's always had the talent, but there's this a kid that I took on. Well, he's our centre half-back. His name's Joel Randall. And as well as our captain, Nathan Sill. I mean, Nathan Sill has developed into one of the best leaders I reckon I've seen at local football. He's really taken that on. But Joel Randall also, just a young buck, a kid, a muck-around-go kid. But he's really grown into loving what we're about to the point that he's even taken leadership to another level without being in our leadership group. Taking players under his wing to because he knows that's the next generation coming through. And I think, without trying to embarrass him, if he reads this or hears this, that I think he's identified he used to be in that position, and now he's probably just taken that next mantle over. And as I said, we've got that next gen group, which is all that age, like Nick Barrow, Matt Lewis. They're all young bucks that really have just taken it to the next level. But trust me, the question that you had before, can you celebrate? They're the first to celebrate as well. And they'll probably go for 3 days when they can.
Well, as we both know, the Diamond Creek pub's a very, very famous night spot in the region. Surely let's get the workout.
Yes, no. They've come on board as a sponsor this year, which is really awesome of them as well. And yeah, look, we've got to make sure that we represent well.
That's important. Now, I need to ask you, I was a bit baffled, I must admit, because I saw that your son, Jack, is playing in the Northern Football Netball League, but he's not playing with you. What the hell's going on, man?
No, that is right. So Jack, he's part of the Knights program at the minute. And his junior club's Eltham. And so he's in Year 12 at Marsland. So this year it's a bit of Knights at the start of the year. Then school footy's taken over. When school footy had a bye, Knights had a bye. It was a round 8 where they could play the 23rd, and Eltham picked him to play senior football. And it just happened to be against Diamond Creek. So that was an interesting week going into that one. But very proud of the kid. Look, he's on school holidays at the minute. But it's his local club. And as I said, I'm all about local footy and playing with your mates, and that's where he's at. So he's still got a long career ahead of him, and I'm probably very close to the end of my career. So just let him enjoy where he wants to be at the minute. But there's plenty of time in the future to have those discussions.
Tell me you gave him you got someone who put the arm across straight away, heavy tag, arm across at the start of the game.
Well, I told him, I cooked him his meal on Friday night, and I said, that's the last thing you'll be getting from me until 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Who won, by the way?
So, Dymo, no. We got the Chockies at Eltham. So it was a standalone game on the King's birthday weekend. So it was Eltham Dymo. It was an awesome crowd, about 3,000. And look, and I must reach out if I can. Not sure if you're aware, but Eltham extended an opportunity for me to present his jumper pre-game in the Eltham rooms. Yeah, and it was Tim Bongetti and the Eltham Football Club were awesome in opening that invitation. That, again, it represents why local footy is so awesome.
Yeah, 100%. That's why we all love local footy. That's a great example of it. Well done. Thanks for sharing that. I'm interested from your perspective. We've talked about your tenure in coaching local footy for 15 years or so. The challenges from coaching when you started to coaching now. How's coaching changed in that 15-year period, you reckon?
Probably at recruitment time, everyone's a Brownlow medalist. So that's one of the big things in today's football. But I think, if anything, I don't think a lot's changed, or not from my eyes anyway. Look, the quality of the game has changed, and that's because players, if anything, you get your high-level players that do come back, and they're proud to come back now. So you actually got a better representation of ex-AFL or ex-VFL players coming to play at local level. And that's only a good thing in that it helps the kids, to keep up with them and learn from those type of players as well. The like of Darcy McPherson with us, he got delisted 2-3 years ago from Gold Coast, still connected with North Melbourne as part of their coaching panel, but he's come back to Diamond Creek also to because that's his junior club and that's where he wants to play, and the kids feed off that. We had Lockie Murphy. Lockie Murphy was able to come and play a game for us on that King's birthday weekend. Again, another Diamond Creek junior. I think what we've created is we tried to 2-3 years ago. We wanted to turn Diamond Creek into a destination club, and we've done that by player retention at the minute. And I would like to think moving forward with maybe the successes of this year is that it should hopefully open the doors for a few more positive conversations in recruitment. So recruitment's a bit harder. When I say harder, I'm of an opinion. You mentioned, or maybe an answer to your question was how they've brought in the point system. That's one thing that's changed, and I'm actually a big fan of that. I like how I like what the intention of the point system is about to equalise. If I had to put my thoughts forward, I'd scrap the salary cap. Let clubs who can afford to pay players as much as they want, let them do it, because you can't factor the points. You can only recruit what you can, by fitting what you can in the points. So I'd really consider like bringing the points down to 40 and then make the salary cap even higher. Now, that makes it harder for clubs that don't have a junior program, so they have to recruit. So then it begs the question, well, work harder to get your junior program up and running. Get that up and running. Get the kids involved. Make them stay involved as opposed to just, being luxurious enough to go and recruit. So that's one of the things I think in local football that's changed is in managing and understanding your point system from a retention with your list and also from a recruitment. Because I was a victim of it from when it first came in. When I say a victim, it took me probably my first year to really work it. You can't lie behind it. Like if you're at maximum points and you're trying to tell a kid you're not in the side and you're trying to bluff way around it, but really at the end of the day, it's because you make us add up to 47, we can only be 46. It was a wake up call early days at Doncaster in those days, but I'm a fan of it.
I quite like that concept. Bring it down a little bit, the points, and then pay them as much as you like. Still got to squeeze them in.
Yeah, exactly. You still got to squeeze them in on the points. So if you want to give lift the salary, don't wipe out the whole salary, but make it a bit higher. So it's like, whatever it is, but at the end of the day, you can only fit him in on the points.
Well, I know Greg Madigan, the boss of AFL Victoria, will be all over this. He loves this podcast, so he'll be listening, and you'll probably get a phone call from him.
Well, I actually played with Greg. We're old Marsland boys, so we had a couple of years.
Of course you are.
Yeah. So we had Marsland. We played at Marsland back in the day.
Of course. Did you play against him when you were at the Magpies?
No, I don't. Oh, maybe. No, I think he was in the seniors more often than not. I was the junior, mate.
Well, 12 of the best games, and you have for those that may not be aware, 12 games of the Mighty Magpies in 93 to 95. You have the very interesting record of being one of the very few players in the history of the game to kick 6 goals in a game.
Yes, that was a good day out, that one. A lot of people think that was a lot of people think that was my first game, but it was actually my third. So it goes to show how good the first two were.
Who was coaching? Was that Lethal?
Yeah, Lee Matthews was coach. Yep. I had Lee Matthews. It's funny, you said 95. I even played in 96 under Tony Shaw, but I only played reserves that year. Yeah, I was only in the reserves that year. So, but I had Lee Matthews 93, 4 and 5, and then Tony Shaw took over in 96.
Right. So what have you taken from those two guys in your coaching? Anything?
Shorey, I took, he was really about wanting to be with people, embracing, social functions, having a beer and all these kind of things, being a larrikin, and from a fitness point of view, just work hard. From Lee Matthews, really, he actually really understood the player from a player management in understanding if things aren't working, stop training. Stop. Don't try and fix something that can't be fixed. Let the guys go and have their time out. And so it was more of a player development and a player management system that I remember from Lee Matthews. I mean, his intel into the X's and O's was excellent, and the way he could really get players to play a role. But yeah, really the way he was able to manage his players was really something I took away from him.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good insight. And who's the West Coast defender that's having nightmares about you in the 6 goals in 1994, round 13?
Who played back in the day? Well, after a couple of beers, I keep telling everyone it was the All-Australian backline, but it was that year. But no, well, they had in the backline back then, I had Clappe. From memory, Clappe stood me the most. But there were times McKenna, Worsfold, Brennan, and also Djakovic were around. So
you beat them all. This is what we're saying, mate.
As a team, we did. I was lucky enough to get on the end of a couple of nice Buckley passes, actually.
Rubbish. Yeah, you beat them by yourself. Cop that, Matt Clappe. Cop that. That's what we're saying today. Hey, mate, it's been great to chat about what's going on at Diamond Creek with you and your journey through the game of footy, and looking forward to see what Jack does as well. Keep an eye on him, but good luck for the rest of the season. It's been great to follow your journey so far. Appreciate your time. Good luck.
Oh, mate, thank you, and thanks for letting us put Diamond Creek on the radar. Good on you.
Happy to have it anytime. Andrew Tranquilli, the coach of the all-conquering, the giant-killing Diamond Creek Footy Club in the Northern Footy League. We'll keep an eye on them for the back end of the 2026 season as well. That's it for us today. We'll catch you next time on The Local.